What's going on, YouTube? How is everybody today? It's great to hear. So today I want to talk about the new Emeralds album. Does it look like I'm here? Released in 2010 on Editions Mego Records. I went to a show yesterday and these guys were there. They opened up for Caribou. I was really excited to see Emeralds when they were there. They played just this really long, I don't know how long it was, 10, 15 minutes, somewhere in that time frame. Just this weird, I think it was improvised set of just two keyboards and a guitarist playing this super processed guitar over this blue backdrop. And went on for a little while. It didn't really blow too many minds until the last 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of it. I don't know how long it was. I wasn't timing them, and all these weird oscillating, whirring, kind of clicking sounds came out, and this weird kind of bass sound kicked in. It's pretty cool stuff. I was always really wondering what bands like this do when they perform live, and you know, they didn't really rock out, freak out too much. Just played what I should have expected them to do. Just this kind of experimental, borderline ambient. Very pleasant to listen to experimental music. I heard someone online describe this music as new retro, and I'd kind of agree, because they do borrow a lot from early 70s, late 60s artists like Klaus Schulze and Brian Eno, and all these kind of experimental and synthesizer music kind of pioneers and stuff like that, electronic music pioneers like that. This is either their third or fourth album, depending on who you talk to. These guys got together, I think, in 2005, and they've released a whole bunch of albums and EPs and CDRs. I heard they release in between like 40 to 50, and they keep releasing demos and mixtapes and all kinds of stuff like that. But as far as proper albums go, this is either their third or fourth proper release, and it's probably their most accessible, their most pleasant and relaxed to listen to. On this album, Does It Look Like I'm Here? Emeralds opted to do this whole predetermined thing, whereas before all their songs were long, explorative, unplanned, improvised songs that would go on for 15, 20 minutes. Some of their albums only had 2 tracks on them, some of them only had like 3 to 4. This album has 12. They range from the really long to 12 minutes. A track on here is like a good 12 minutes long, one's 9, but all the rest are like 3 to 4. So when Emeralds, or a band like this, who is more of an improv band, decides to go into this arena of predetermined music, it kind of takes away a degree of the chaos, a degree of the unpredictability. So this album does kind of lack any kind of left hooks, kind of lacks any kind of surprises. There's not really anything's going to jump out and grab your attention too much. Nothing's going to blow your mind overtly. But other than that, that's probably my only gripe with this album. This album, what it does have is a lot of rich, vibrant, brilliant sounds that just come like burbling and rippling out of your speakers. A very, very pleasant, very, very relaxed album. It doesn't have any darkness. It doesn't have any kind of like heavy kind of tones to it. Everything on here is just very bright and shimmering and just very, very pristine production. Everything here is very, very synchronized. It has all these kind of synthetic, electronic synthesizer textures and tones and stuff like that. It's really hard to tell what the guitar player is doing on here, because the guitar rarely sounds like a guitar on this album. This processed through so many effects, and it's like this. What I'm trying to say is like the synthesizers and the keyboards are very much so the main character on the album, and all the guitar player does is kind of snakes his way in and out through these, making these weird kind of, I don't know, chords. It doesn't sound like guitar noise at all. It's very processed guitar noise. It sounds more like another synthesizer, but with strings, I guess. I don't know, when I was watching him live too, it's really hard to tell what he's doing, because you see him playing and like holding chords and, you know, strumming and stuff, but it wouldn't sound anything like a guitar, so you couldn't really tell what's a synthesizer or what the guitar is doing. But regardless, it's not even important at all. This whole album is just about these kind of very vibrant sonic textures, very much so like out of a science fiction movie, or just from like out of the 60s or 70s, like the whole term new retro experimental thing would imply. Very, very melodic, very, very structured, very, very relaxed. Probably the most organized, the most focused, their most cohesive album for sure. They went in this very kind of concise sound direction. They had a very much so a good idea of what they wanted to do song to song. And this album would be fine for anyone trying to get into Emeralds too. I totally recommend this album other than the other ones because it's kind of like a sampler. They got little bits of like kind of drone influence stuff on here, a little bit of the kind of like, they do have the longer tracks so you can get prepared for their previous work and get into the, like the longer, more meandering kind of songs on here. But it's very, very relaxed, borderlining on ambient. Everything is very wavering and twinkling, and they put all their sequences through loops and oscillate them and stuff, and just, I don't know, it's very meditative, very kind of reflective, very kind of vibrant, very clean. It doesn't really have any grooves or hooks, like I said, just kind of music that just kind of washes over you. Very, very nice. I found it very enjoyable to listen to. The cover art is just, I guess, a flower blooming in front of a blank TV screen, implying, like, I don't know how TV can spawn life or something, some sort of irony going on there. And you got a close-up of the flowers on the back, and you got these kind of colorful little collage of buildings on the album art here. You got more flowers and something that looks like I don't know, like a chocolate, and you got a gemstone or an emerald there. Pretty clever. Then you got the little jam space with the keyboards and synthesizers and guitar and the view they have. And that's that. But yeah, if you like experimental music, if you just like listening to some really kind of accessible, ambient, very, very pretty, very, very colorful, very vibrant, even though this album does lack the whole unpredictable aspect Emeralds used to have, it doesn't really take away from their creativity, their imagination, the ideas these guys have. I'm not totally against the new direction they go in. If they continue on to pre-write songs and release like predetermined ideas on albums, I'd support it for sure. It's very nice to listen to. If you're a fan of, like I said, Klaus Schulze or Brian Eno, Jonas Reinhardt, Cluster, Zombie, all these kind of experimental dudes out there, it's a very, very enjoyable album. Very clean, very clear. It's pretty impressed with it. Really, I don't know what to say about them live. The live show is kind of confusing. Was kind of good though towards the end, though. It did get kind of gripping a little, but I don't know. Pretty cool stuff. It's Emerald's 2010 album on Editions Mego Records. Does it look like I'm here? I don't know what the album title means.